Do you think you're ready to go?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just so I can check my levels, can you just tell me your name, please?
Vivien.
Cool. Ready when you are. If you look at Emma when she's asking the question.
Hi, Emma.
Yeah, whenever you guys are ready.
Yeah. Well, to start with, because obviously we need to establish it in the film and whatnot, could you sort of like explain like your journey through potteries, like how you were telling me you started at Spode and then eventually went back round and retired, and if you could sort of talk about what you did in each of the areas?
Yeah. Right. When I left school at 15, I wanted to be a hairdresser. But in them days, you had to pay the hairdresser for teaching you. So I said to my mum, she said, what do you want to be when you leave school? I said, I want to be a hairdresser. She says, no, you're going on a pot bank and you'll bring some money in this house. I said, OK, but it hasn't done me badly. I've enjoyed myself. And she got me a job on Copeland's, where she worked. She was a burnisher on Copeland's, and I was a trainee in Amelie. I loved it, but then we went on 3 days, and I thought, I can't be doing with this. I know, I'm a young girl, I want some money. So I went on the Michelin for 4 years. I got married from there. I had my first daughter from there. And then I didn't work for about 5 years. Then when I did start work, I went to Broadhurst's in Fenton on the twilight shift. And I worked from 5 till 10. I enjoyed it. Bob come home from work, looking after the children, used to give them sugar butties. Then I'd come home and take over. Then I did go full time after a bit, but then I left there and I went to work on Carlton Ware for about a year. And the boss wasn't very nice on there, so I went to Royal Dalton and got a job in the Beatrice Potter painting department. And that's where I worked up until I was there for 28 years, actually. Well, not 28 years, 26 years. Then I was made redundant. No, sorry. They offered me a job on Royal Dalton at Nile Street. There, I was there for 2 years, and I've got to say, them were the best 2 years for working for Royal Dalton. I really enjoyed it. The people were good. The boss was good. He was a lovely boss. And then, of course, it closed and we were made redundant again. From there, I went to Wedgwood in the canteen, which I was busy. It wasn't boring. I was busy all day, but it wasn't for me. So I thought, I'm going to see if I can get a job on Spode, where I first started, which was then called Copeland's. And they wanted somebody in the cook shop. And that's where I went, and that's where I retired from. So I went full circle from Copeland's, right, and I finished from there as well. And I thought that was ironical.
Yeah, no,
Is that what you wanted?
Yeah, no, that's great.
It's really, really good.
Yeah, it's interesting that you've like gone through and then like made your way back again.
Yeah.
Just because you've been through lots of things, what would you say was your sort of favourite ceramic job to do? Like out of the painting and the demonstrations you've done, which would you say you enjoyed the most?
Painting the Beatrice Potter and the Bunnykins, yeah.
So overall, like, for obviously you've been in lots of different places, so you can talk about each individually or you can talk overall if you wish. But what was the overall sort of like working environment like within the pottery industry?
Great, it was good. You were a family, but you did get the kind of bullies where you get in any environment, you get that kind of person. But I loved it. You got to know each and everybody, and you were just like a happy family, really. I got my daughter a job on Beswick's when she left school, and she's in Australia now. But she's a fantastic artist, my daughter is.
That's cool. It's nice to hear that she's in Australia. I know a couple of people that used to live in Australia. They've come back now, but they enjoyed it over there.
Yeah.
A lot of people have sort of mentioned something to you that like you're a big happy family and there's a lot of camaraderie.
Yeah.
And so, have you got any like funny anecdotes or stories and whatnot from your time there?
Oh, there's lots, but it's trying. Oh yes, there was a chap called Don. He was a painter, and he was coming up for retiring. Well, in them days I was a bit of a. I liked dressing up, and he liked the 3 Degrees. So me and 2 other girls, we dressed up as 3 Degrees and started singing to him the 3 Degrees song. And then when he was retiring, I always used to make him a cup of tea before he come. When he got work, I'd make him a cup of tea. So on the day he was retiring, I used to have a false bust. And I used to put it on and, you know, and a wig, and a Tina Turner wig. So I had dressed up and I made him this cup of tea. And as he was walking up the shop, I was singing, "Happy birthday to you," in my Elder Ogden voice. And I'd got an Elder Ogden voice in them days. And he loved it. He says that was the best thing I could have done for him. I put my suspenders, my fishnet tights on, a short skirt. Oh, I was delicious.
That's a really great story. It's those little things that make it all better, like just having a little laugh with someone. As you mentioned, you worked with a guy. Was there a lot of guys that you worked with, or is it predominantly women?
No, there was about 3 guys at Beswick's. It was mostly women, but on Nile Street, I should say there was the same amount as men as women, but the men were mostly prestige painters.
So does that, being a prestige painter, would that mean you get like a higher pay grade, or would that?
Yeah, because they did the top things in the, you know, the top models and things like that, top figures. Because we're obviously focusing on the women within the industry, and obviously it might not have been the case within the industry, in the pottery industry in particular, but obviously there's a lot of sort of like stigma between men and women and trying to get equal pay and all that. So when you were in the pottery industry, did you ever experience like discrimination for being a woman? Did you feel like you were ever like limited or held back or anything like that? No, not really. No, I don't think so. There was if you worked in the clay end and you worked in the painting end, then you always thought you were a little bit a cut above the clay end, but you weren't really.
A few other women we've met interviewed have said the similar thing, that they didn't really have any problems, but a woman in particular spoke about the clay end, and she wasn't in it, and she used to say clay end women were like quite rough and tumble and used to like threaten about and whatnot. There was 1 or 2 paintresses who were a bit rough as well. How much did the industry change while you were working there? Changed a lot. The union came in and sometimes they were helpful, sometimes they weren't, you know, but overall I was pretty happy with how I was treated and stuff. Were you heavily involved with the union at all? Or? No. Yeah. Okay. How important do you feel that women were within the industry? Because obviously a lot of people have said that it was women prominent, and like a lot of people have said that like with the mistress of the shop and stuff like that women tend to have run the industry. Would that something you agree with or disagree with? It was mostly women, but you always got the men were the managers, but it was mostly women that were in the industry, and I think they ought to have had some of the women as managers as well, but it was mostly men who were the managers. Yeah.
I suppose it's changed now. That's one thing that's good, that it's changed, that women are now being thought of more highly.
Yeah, definitely. Did you experience like a change within the industry, like to do with the machinery and the way things are done? Did you see a change there, or was it?
Yes, when I worked on Broadhurst, they brought out these deckgram machines. It was like a printing machine that's got they called it a bomb, and it'd go over, pick up the colour and the pattern off an area here, take it over to the plate, and then the men who worked the deckgram machines, it put a print on the plate. So that put a lot of transferers and lithographers out of a job. That was on Broadhurst. But on Beswick's, and they started bringing out lithographs with eyes. So you didn't have to paint the eyes. In some cases, and especially the ladies, they lithographed the eyes on the ladies' faces. That was at Nile Street.
Okay. Sorry, I'm not quite used to interviewing. So. Do you feel that women had a strong impact on the pottery industry? Do you feel that women like paved the way into how it ran and whatnot? Do you feel they had like, a really
definitely. I think without the women, there wouldn't have been a pottery industry, really. I know the men did the heavy jobs, but the women were prominent in it. And they deserve a lot of accolade in the pottery industry, if that's the right word.
I fully agree with you from everything I've heard from interviews and whatnot. Like, I've had a lot of stories, and yeah, definitely, you girls did a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there'd be a pottery industry if it wasn't for the women.
Yeah, definitely. I know you spoke about one male colleague, Dan. You seem to have quite a good relationship with him. Did you have any other colleagues you were really close with, or had any colleagues you had problems with?
No, my best friend, Ella Yates, we always sat together. I always sat on the right-hand side, and we still do that now when we go out. I just sit on the right-hand side. We do Art Link together, and yeah, Manuela Yates was my best friend. Yeah.
Could you explain a little bit more about the Art Links stuff that you're involved with?
Oh, it's singing and dancing and drama. It's nothing to do with art.
I just wondered because I hadn't heard it before, and I was just like, something you do now?
Yeah, it's we do it on a Wednesday at the Victoria Hall.
If you were to talk to a young woman considering going into the pottery industry, what sort of advice would you have to say to her?
Just work hard and show willing, and try to do your best. There are openings where you can better yourself, show that you're willing, and I don't know.
What did you tell your daughter? Because you got her a job in there, didn't you? Do you remember what you told her?
Don't. No. It was a training, a YTS she came on, and she was always interested in art, and that's what she wanted to do, so I didn't discourage her. And it did her well. I don't know what to say.
What did, sorry, if you keep looking at Emma for me. Do you remember what your mum said when you were first starting? Did she give you any...
Yeah, you get on the pottery industry and bring some money in the house. She just said, keep your head down and do as you're told.
Sound advice. Obviously, we're sat surrounded by your paintings. Have you been painting since you left the pottery industry, or is it something you did late, or have you always done that?
I've just started doing it the past 2 years. I went to see a film at the film theatre by the college, and it was there was a lot of Clarice Cliff paintresses being interviewed. I don't know if you had anything to do with that film, but it gave me inspiration. And I thought to myself, well, they look nice on pottery, so they should look nice in paintings. So I did go that way. I thought I'll try some, and they look nice. I try to deviate from, I don't want to say they're in the style of Clarice Cliff. They're not Clarice Cliff, but they're in the style of Clarice Cliff.
Yeah, she's sort of your inspiration.
Yeah, she's my inspiration. Yes, she was.
Would you say that avidly painting or whatnot, do you feel like you're still quite strongly connected to everything you did in the pottery industry rather than having a distancing? Because obviously a lot of people, when they get older and retire, they're then quite distanced from their previous career, but obviously you're painting, so...
Well, I don't have anything to do with any pottery industry at the moment, but I've still got friends who couple work on Emma Bridgewood, but I don't see them. You don't see anybody. Kind of lose contact when you finish work.
It's kind of sad, actually, for hearing that you guys were like such a strong family.
Yeah. At first we did meet up now and again, but as the years go by, you get different interests. They've got different interests and I've got different interests. So, yeah, you go your separate ways.
Happens a lot in life, unfortunately. Would you say that you were proud to be part of the pottery industry?
Oh, yeah. It didn't do me any harm at all. And I really should thank my mother for saying, get on the pottery and bring some money in this house. Because it enabled me to go to America and France. I did Paris. I've done quite a few demonstrations all over England. And then I went to Japan for 6 weeks. It's done me well.
Do you want to expand a bit on the demonstrations you did in Japan and France?
Yeah, I've got some photos if you want to see them.
It's up to you guys, do you want?
Yeah. Oh, well, if you just explain and then footage afterwards.
Well, I toured all over Japan. I didn't see much of Japan because all I saw was buses, hotel rooms and department stores. And I toured with, it was kind of like a British fair. There was a young lady from Lilliput Lane, a guy from Wedgwood, and there was 2 bagpipe players. And we toured all round with these. The bagpipe players would open up the show, and then the visitors would come into the department, and such nice people. And a lady was just watching me to paint one day. I just noticed her at the side. And the following day, she came back and gave me a lovely present.
What was the present?
I can show it if I've got to get up.
Oh, well, yeah, we'll look at it afterwards.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cut. Yes, it was a lovely present in Bakelite. It was made in Bakelite, and inside it's all red inside. I think it's either a butterfly or there's some kind of insect inside it in gold. What else was I getting? Oh, I was given so many presents by people.
Was this just from Japan or was this from everywhere?
Well, occasionally in America they give you, but Japan, I felt so humble. In Japan, they were lovely people.
How did you get the opportunity to be doing these demonstrations?
You just volunteered. They asked if there's anybody who wants to go demonstrating, and me and Manuela, we volunteered. We first went to America, and then I went to France. I was given a car, and so I could not personally. It was, what are they called? When
Chauffeur?
No, when the factory have got their own car and you can company car. And I used to drive myself. I've drove myself up to the Lake District. I've done the Lake District. Oh, and I did some in Bath, but I went on the train that day. And then I did one in Wales. My husband was allowed to come with me then. So, yeah, I've done quite a few.
Was it hard being away from home when you were doing the demonstrations?
No, it was great. I really enjoyed it. It seemed different cultures. Yeah, especially though the culture in Japan is fantastic.
Yeah, no, Japan is a dream holiday of my own.
Yeah.
Already aiming for going over there. Is there anything you would like to add that you feel is an important comment? Or story or anything?
I'm sorry, I can't think of any.
No, you're fine.
I'm not very literate. I'm not very.
Can I just ask? So the demonstrations you did, could you sort of paint a picture of what it was, what the setup was, typically when you arrived, and what you would end up doing?
Well, of course you'd take figures. Oh, of course you'd take figures packed for you. They'd send quite a few figures in cargo for you, and then you'd carry your paints. I don't know how we got away with it in America. We were taking, because in them days it wasn't watercolours, it was turpentine and fat oil. How they allowed us on the plane with it, I don't know. You'd get arrested now, I think. But yeah, you'd carry your paints and your paintbrushes yourself. And then when you got to the department store, there'd be a desk there for you, and you'd have to arrange the desk out how you wanted it. And then people would come with their figures. They'd buy the figures, and you'd have to sign them underneath in a gold pen. Whether or not the gold pen lasted, I don't know, but nowadays they say it devalues them. But there are a few figures with my signature underneath. One day I was in America and this lady was going, "Oh, it's so great to meet you." She thought I was Beatrice Potter. I had to say, I'm only a paintress, I'm not Beatrice Potter. She's dead. So that was quite funny. But yes, used to really long lines, and even the books they'd want you to sign. If they bought a Beatrice Potter book, they'd want you to sign that as well.
That's pretty amazing. Were these demonstrations long then? Was it like a long day? Or just a couple of
It could
hours?
last a couple of hours, and then you'd pack up and you'd go on to the next department store or the next, say you were in Florida one day, you'd go to North Carolina another, and then the following day you'd go Tennessee.
Like a proper little tour.
Yeah. But you never saw anything. You just saw the department stores and aeroplanes and stuff and hotel rooms. Pretty lonely, really.
Yeah, I can imagine it's quite oddly disappointing to go to a country and then just not be allowed to see the country.
Did have a couple of days off, but you didn't see much.
Yeah, a lot to see, not a lot of time. I had a question, I forgot what it was now.
Yeah, I was wondering about, did you have any role models that you kind of, people within the industry that you looked up to when you started? And
There was one lady named Audrey Wright. She was our supervisor, one of our supervisors. Such a lovely lady. And she was a caring lady. She died about 2 years ago. But yeah, she was very nice. She cared about you. You know, you get supervisors who were just there for the job, but Audrey cared. Yeah, she was a nice lady.
Makes a difference when you've got a boss that's nice.
Yeah.
If you, obviously, would you go back? Would you go back and do all the same jobs you did? Or
Yes, I would, yeah. But I'd do it in a different way. I've learnt lessons. There's lessons to be learnt when you're getting older, you know, and you would do. Oh, if I had my time over again, I'd do this and that. Yeah, I'd keep my head down. like my mother said.
Spent too much time having fun.
Yeah.
I think is there anything you want to ask?
One last one. So you mentioned that your mother, was it her mother that got her into it as well? How
No, I'm not sure about my mother's mother. I don't think she worked.
Yeah.
I think she was a stay-at-home mum.
But was that experience of mothers bringing their daughters into the pottery industry, was that really common?
Yeah, it is today still, I think, yeah. I've even got a niece who worked on Beswicks as well. It says family. Goes through generations, yeah.
You've got like genuine related family, and then you've got
Yeah, and
family
I've
that
got
you've
my
there.
daughter, yeah. Both daughters, actually. Carol, she worked in the character jug department. She wanted to be a mechanical engineer. And her training, what you were doing, she went to a garage and we asked her once what she wanted for her birthday. I mean, she was only young. She said, I'd like an engine, Mum, work out on an engine. She didn't get it. But nowadays, it's not unheard of. She could have become a mechanical engineer.
Yeah, there's people, all sorts. You can do it at college now as well. Like,
Yeah.
I have a few friends that when I went off to do my A-levels, they went to do mechanical stuff instead, working with cars all the time.
Yeah. See, that's how times have changed. I thought that working in a garage, a girl, get ribbed. But no, it's not unheard of nowadays, is it?
Nah, it's a lot more open now. Be a lot more age.
All right. We're happy. Good, yeah.
Do you want me to show you?